which sounded kind of strange. And essentially, no punches pulled. I essentially thought martial artists were just wankers. My sister's crew, I hope they're not listening, some of the people my sister trained with just meatheads back in the day, and I just wasn't quite into that. So anyway, through talking to him, I came to see those three levels. There was a martial art, there was a self-healing art, and there was this medical kind of aspect to teach you how to work and heal with other people. And it was more like I understood at that stage Tai Chi was kind of this esoteric-y thing like yoga, but I didn't realise it was quite as involved. Now, I like circular things that make sense and always fold back on themselves. So Chinese medicine, it's that never-ending kind of circular feel. You always find yourself coming back again and again to the same kind of things at a deeper, kind of more profound state. And so I kind of discovered that Tai Chi was like that and got into it initially just because I understood that there were multiple facets to this martial art. It wasn't just your typical, I want to hit stuff. It enveloped a lot of Chinese principles. And that's what I was saying. That's what I find I like the most about the art is that concepts of grounding, concepts of being soft and actually not only mentally relaxed but physically relaxed and being able to change into that state at will. Because it's not a stranger any longer. It's something I've been training, and so I just go, all right, relax. And it has a lot of, anyway, I'll go on with my story. It's got other benefits. But so I started training with this Welshman. I just trained for years, and now this is a backyard, dingy, hidden down in the back of some schoolyard and Thursday or Friday night and, darkened rooms, just training with just small groups of guys because literally – as I said, you tell people what we do and they just kind of scoff a little bit. So just learned it through the background, and now and then, after 20 years of training it, I just...
He wasn't in Burleigh, was he?
Do you know Wally Simpson, an old fella with...
No, definitely no.
No? There's been a couple small and broken up little groups of us. There was a guy... Do you remember Acupuncture clinic on the corner of Burleigh? It's been gone for about maybe...
Not really.
No,
right.
no.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's like this old school acupuncturist, been here for donkeys. Yeah, he has a little class in a dingy backyard kind of setup as well. So basically, I just learnt with them, and after 20 years of training, I just think mostly through what I do through my acupuncture and through working with people with health, that there's a whole demographic of guys out there who want probably a little bit more than just punching on.
Yeah.
Want a little bit more understanding, want a little bit more things to ground them, but want to meditate but don't want to sit there like a lotus blossom, want a bit of gur and a bit of, to wrestle a bit and to fight a little bit and to understand some of the concepts of that kind of esoteric spiritual movement, but in a physical reality as opposed to just... smoke and mirrors and whistles and bells, to actually have it grounded in you. So for me, concepts like yin and yang, and I know I'm an acupuncturist, so I deal with that quite a bit, and I understand it's not necessarily some scientific term that is great medically in a physical sense. But when I reconcile those very physical realities with myself, with the emotional aspects of myself, that it's like you can fix someone's wound, but you can't fix the scars with it. So how do you reconcile that? Chinese medicine's about being able to fix both of those sides. And so I love science, but I sometimes think it negates that aspect of ourselves, which is mystical. Our mind works in abstract pictures. So we need to talk to it sometimes in that way to create health and to fix ourselves. And if we just think we're a chop shop and just this physical body, then sometimes we fall short of that. And so that's what I enjoyed about the Tai Chi, and what I think a lot of people will be able to get out of it is the fact that we're actually physically finding those elements within our body. So there's a massive movement culture going on around the globe right now. People doing kind of like parkour, but more, I guess, awareness and consciousness based in their body and doing ranges of motion and fluid movement. And it's really interesting because in a lot of the pain science, the way that they're starting to look at the way the body works with pain and how we hold those patterns within our neurology and within our muscles, what I find a lot in the Taiji is how I'm actually physically learning to unwrite those patterns on more of a conscious level.
I can't understand that. Can you explain that more?
Okay, so
Sorry.
let me.
Okay, use me as an example because I've got arthritis in my neck, and so because of that, I've got chronic pain. I'm in pain every day. Sometimes, I've got good days and bad days, but it's constantly there.
Yep.
Are you telling me that doing something like Tai Chi will actually reprogram my brain and body so that I'm not feeling that pain anymore?
Yes and no.
Oh, well, that's a bit of a cop-out.
I know. No. Let me explain. I'm a bit of a pain science novice, so if there's any pain science experts out there listening to this, come and slap me around and talk to me later. But
and put it on YouTube.
Yeah. Look, there's literally a physical reality to things, and it can be difficult, right? Because if you're sitting there saying you can self-heal and some people are like, well, no, I've done everything and I've still got this problem. Like, no. Okay, that's completely fair. So I guess you've got to be really careful with saying that. But also they've shown science in studies that they can have someone with the same physical problem and have completely different expressions of pain. Yeah. One person may have no pain, the other person might be in excruciating. So it's not the injury.
What is it?
What is it? Exactly. They don't really know.
But everyone's different. Like,
yep.
No, because, okay, sorry to, I'm not trying to, I'm just curious.
Go.
But like, even if we all put our hands on the table, we've all got different shaped hands, right? So I'm thinking inside our bodies have to be slightly varied with each human being as well. And so what automatically came to me when you explained that was like, okay, someone with the exact symptoms as me, or the same like
physical structures.
No. That's what I'm trying to say is like, if you take an X-ray of my cervical spine and find someone that has the exact same deformities as me, and they don't feel pain, but I do, would it not have something to do with the way that my soft tissue surrounds that part, and therefore those bits, do you know what I mean? Like, because there's the nerves going through the soft tissue.
Definitely.
And so their internal structure might be different to mine, even though the skeletal structure, this is getting too difficult.
Okay. No. When I said the same physical structure, I actually was incorporating bone, muscle, tissue, tendons. So someone can have the same physical problem, but their relationship to that pain will be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really tricky because, and I was watching listening to a guy who does a lot of back pain and a lot of pain especially, and that's what he was saying. He's saying, look, the modern research shows that two people can have exactly the same physical problem, but completely different relationships and expressions of pain. So what it means is that there are other ways to work with our body and work with that pain. I was trying to explain this to someone the other day. Okay, so for instance, last week I overtrained, did something really stupid, and I've got a leg length difference. I've got something physical that happens, and my back tweaked that night. I woke up the next morning and I just couldn't walk. Okay, it happens to me periodically, maybe once a year, and I'm just down and out.
What happens? Your back?
Yeah, my back goes out. I used to do all sorts of silly things on a skateboard, and
it might be a top heavy sort of thing, like some sort of. I always get them down there.
And so my back forms a very particular what I call splinting pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way, and this isn't scientific, this is just the way I look at it. Someone walks in, their back's spasmed, and they're locked up in a certain way. That splinting pattern largely is the cause of a lot of people's pain, and you release that and the physical pain begins to decrease in their back. So when I get someone who's presented in that level of pain, my question is what sort of stimulus do I have to give this person to get their body to release that spasm? So for me, over the last maybe 4 or 5 times since I've started getting into this more. I've actually been physically trying to unwrite that splinting pattern in myself.
Unwrite
it. Literally try and delete it through the work I do with my mind and my body. So I know that when my back hurts, it's actually a lie. Okay, there is nerve pain running down my legs, but there is no physical change there. This is a sensation of sciatica that's coming down a nerve.
Yeah.
There's no real physical problem there. My missus might have laughed at me, but I was literally walking along whimpering, this doesn't exist. I don't believe this. This doesn't exist. I don't believe this. Just stand up. And you start to stand up and then it'll grab me and no. Look how I've just reacted to that sensation. That sensation, just ignore that. It didn't believe it and breathe it. And slowly, I believe anyway, you might think I'm crazy, I will release that spasm.
I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're crazy because I think the mind can do, like, the mind is very powerful and it can do, play tricks on you, whatever. But, and I'm not trying to be argumentative or anything, even though I think it comes across like that. But, because so many people say when you feel pain, it's your body trying to tell you that something is wrong. Mm-hmm. So if then you're not listening to that and trying to, like, mentally block it out or...
Okay, no, I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
And maybe I haven't... By doing that, I'm not necessarily saying it doesn't exist in that I'm acknowledging it. It is a message to my body.
Yeah.
And I'm just acknowledging that it's there, but that it's not a real sensation. My legs aren't burning. They're not on fire. This is not a reality.
Yeah.
Now, of course, someone who's been in a car accident, has a shattered disc and has a piece of bone sticking into their nerve, that's a serious physical thing. Like, you're not going to necessarily be able to change that. But because I know there's not something physically necessarily wrong with me, I'm doing that quite comfortably. But in saying that, the pain research has shown 2 people can have protruding discs, L3 and L4, and have different pain. So it doesn't matter if there is a physical thing, but again, I do believe there is a physical component. Yeah. So it's a matter of working with our body. But I think my main point is that through the Tai Chi, having the body awareness to be able to, I guess, enter my body with my mind and release areas and actually physically relax them.
Yeah.
And work with them. A lot of that can come through the meditation and the Tai Chi of learning
actually, that makes sense.
how to actually physically be aware of what your body's doing.
That actually makes sense because I know myself when I feel pain, I tense up even more.
Yeah. And it's releasing that tension. It's like when people get cold.
Yes.
If you actually just relax and breathe, the oxygen makes it to the outside of your body and you start to warm up. But the first thing we do is breathe shallow and tense.
That's what I have to do when we go swimming then. I have to breathe.
Yeah, exercise and breathe and get the heat moving.
What we're talking about is just absolute the best thing for me, right? Because I know about your neck pain and I also know about a couple of people in my family who are constantly... It's all I hear about. But I'm not saying this about you, Rika, because I know you work and do a lot of stuff. But the other people I know, they don't do a single bit of exercise, right? I know that I get sore when I stop doing things.
Yeah.
Like if I'm surfing all the time, funnily enough, when I stop surfing, that's when my back pulls out. And I'm done for 3 days. It makes it even worse. Yep. I feel depressed. But if I can even, I will, me personally, will go to training because I feel like I've worked through busted ribs. I've worked through headaches. You can get such a physical benefit from training through your injury that I can even feel like it's building cartilage in my neck. I used to walk around years ago. I used to take drugs and do a whole bunch of bad stuff years ago. I used to walk around and I could feel my bones in my neck going kunk, kunk, kunk. I've been thinking about it a lot lately.
Really?
Like there were no shock absorbers in. I wasn't drinking enough water and all sorts of things, But I remember it coming to a critical moment when I could feel it felt like legitimately my
Are you
bones.
sure it wasn't
Yeah.
just the drugs? Well,
Well, they were bad drugs. It wasn't
you were
fun.
hallucinating.
It wasn't fun at all. But like I felt like that some old Eminem song. Maybe it was like he was talking about how your spine would shrink.
Yeah.
And all your fluids were gone. It just sort of resonated with me at the